Good morning. Welcome to Time in His Word. Have you ever thought much about your feelings and how you feel about things? Feelings like jealousy, envy, uh, things along those lines? Well, this morning I want to talk about two uh, figures in the Bible and the difference and the impact that jealousy can have on somebody, which kind of the impression I get when you read in Genesis about Abel and Cain, how jealousy can just really get under your skin, and then you lose all form of rational thinking. And then I'll talk about David and how he overcame the giant because of his love and passion for Christ, and he was doing things and following Christ and what he was wanting David to do. But back to Cain and Abel first. In the Genesis, the 4th chapter, the first, 10, 15 verses is where you find the story of Cain and Abel. And Cain was over the animals, and Abel, let's see, did I get that right? Yeah, no, Cain was over the fruit of the ground, and Abel was over the animals. And they brought their offering, and Abel brought the first the fattest ones of his flock. And the Lord had regard for Abel and for his offering, but for Cain and his offering he had no regard. So Cain became very angry, and he became very angry. Well, he didn't bring the best of his that he had to give, and so therefore God didn't bless him and told him that. And then later on we read that Cain kills Abel, and then God asks Cain where his brother's at. He says, "I'm not my brother's keeper, but we are our brother's keeper." Scripture tells us, and we read it often, about how we should lift each other up, and how we should, if a brother goes astray, one or two should go to him and help him back on the right path. So in a sense, we are our brother's keeper. But God tells him, he said, "What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground." And then, so jealousy, that's what I get from this passage. Jealousy because, just the way the gifts they brought to the altar. And it's, like I said, that's in our daily walk with Christ. If we're not giving him our best, we're not getting the best blessings that we can get. So in other words, it's kind of like that. What you put into something is what you're going to get out of it. So, like, for instance, if you don't study the Word, you don't learn what's in the Bible. You don't learn how to use Scripture to defeat Satan. You're just going along hoping to get along, and that's not what God's wanting. And over in 1 Samuel, the 17th chapter, verses 48 through 51, it talks about how David slew the giant. Well, I read that this morning, and he went to fight the Philistines, and in verse 45, it's in chapter 17, verse 45, "Then David said to the Philistines, 'You come to me with a sword, a spear, and a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of armies of Israel, whom you have taunted. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I will strike you down and remove your head from you. And I will give the dead bodies of the armies of Philistines this day to the birds of the sky, the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know there is a God in Israel.'" So David's tackling the giant in the name of God. And from this passage, to me, I get the impression that if we allow God to be number one in our lives, and we allow him to lead, guide, and direct us, no matter what size the problem is in our lives, we'll be able to overcome it. It might take a little while, but we'll still be able to overcome it. And let's see. See, in verse 49 says, David put his hand to his bag and took out a stone, slung it, struck the Philistine in the head, and the stone sank into his forehead so that he fell to the face on the ground. But the next passage, in 51, the rock didn't kill him. It more or less knocked him out and brought him down. Because in 51, then David ran and stood over the Philistine, took his sword, drew it out of its sheath, and killed him, and cut off his head with it. Then the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, and they fled. To me, these two stories this morning, one teaches me about what jealousy can do to my life, and the other one teaches me what, if I take that same amount of energy that I use to be jealous about somebody or something, or anything along those lines, if I take that same amount of energy and I put that in the faith of the Lord and allow him to lead, guide, and direct me, I'm able to overcome anything. We can think of Goliath as being any problems that we'll encounter in our daily lives. And if David, who at the time wasn't a soldier and was able to knock a soldier down and then eventually kill him, that gives me great hope and great promise in what the scripture tells me daily in my daily readings about. Like I said, if I allow Jesus to lead, guide, and direct me, I'm going to be able to overcome anything that comes in my path. Think about these two stories this morning and how we can tie either one of them to our daily lives. We can look back and we can see how we were jealous and allowed it to cloud our thinking, and we might have done stupid things or made done something that if we weren't so jealous we wouldn't have done with rational thinking. And the other story we can think about, like I said, taking the energy that we use of being jealous and we put that in our faith in God, we'll be able to conquer the world. But it's all, again, like I talk about repeatedly, it's all choice we get to make. So this morning, my challenge for you today is, are you Cain and you're allowing jealousy to control your life and your thinking? Or are you David, got your slingshot, your smooth rock, and you're ready to conquer the world?